counting down to Christmas. Welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. We're broadcasting live from the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Ozon, as always, and with my goons. That's what they call it on the streets, goons. You know what that means, right? Whatever, if I took you off balance, that was the idea. Good number one. Good morning.
Good number two.
I don't know about that.
Well, bright, up and early as usual, and better. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka.
For those of us counting down to Christmas, it's 15 days to Christmas. And Jeffrey and I were joking yesterday that sounds like a perfect movie title. Yeah. 15 days to Christmas. Good morning and welcome to the show. I'm Kayode Okikiole. So finally, the declaration was made. Mahama Dramani John Dramani Mahama, now officially declared the president-elect of Ghana. Oh, yeah. Although about 900,000 of the votes have not come in, but it wouldn't make any difference because he's crossed the 50% mark, but he ended at 56 from the numbers available. An abysmal loss for the incumbent. One of the things I like about Ghana politics is that they can't punish a non-performing government. And that's what they've done to the government of Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, the MPP. And that's why we look at Ghana at the end of the day to see it as one of the models of democracy in the country, because no political party since 1992 has stayed beyond 2 terms. They've always been removed either a second term or a first term. So it was quite interesting, guys. I had to follow through and see the similarity between what's going on in Ghana and what's going on in Nigeria.
I think we've done that before. So welcome to the group, or welcome to that club, I should say. I mean, Nigerians did that for PDP. PDP was a party that even itself said we'll be in power for as long as possible. But 2015,
they had 16 years. Ghana won't give you more than 8 years.
And no, I'm saying that Nigeria has, in quote, punished a ruling party. Didn't allow the party to go for a second term. That's what happened in 2015. So Nigerians said, you know what, PDP, well, take a side seat for a moment. Let the APC come in. And you understand that then President Goodluck Jonathan was running for a second term. And it had never happened before that a president or ruling party would not get a second term in Nigeria. So as far back as 2015, Nigeria did that. So it's good to see Ghana doing that. But ultimately,
it's good to see that way before us.
Well, I'm just saying that we have also done that as well. So it's nothing new to us. But ultimately, it's good to see that people know that they have that power to vote. Again, we could talk about voter participation, how many people, what percentage actually came out to vote. Really, that's another conversation
60%.
you get. So that's another part of the conversation I really wish that we can speak about. People making choices based on informed opinions, not just based on the trend. There are a lot of people who still vote based on either mob action. I don't want to be heard to be against my group on social media, so they just vote not because you're convinced or you have a conviction to vote. I think that is still
there's something they're gaining directly from the government. So no matter how terrible it is, we're going to gain from this. But their numbers were good. 60%, 11 million is against 18 million that are registered. That's right. As we're still working on that.
Well, don't forget that that's like Lagos' population.
It doesn't matter. So when you do a comparative analytics, it's about the because when we draw this analogy, Ghana is small and we can't do early voting. America is twice our number. They are doing early voting. We're just not ready for certain kind of change. So if you draw that comparison, I can bring out a couple of other countries that have more population, more sophisticated, and they are doing what they are doing. So it's a lesson we can learn from smaller countries, bigger countries. They even do what they call voting by proxy, meaning if you're sick, unable to move, you can actually nominate someone to vote for you. I never heard it before.
And that would just be perfect condition for, more electoral malpractice in Nigeria if that were to happen. It's a good thing, that you refer that we have a template in Nigeria here in the person of President Goodluck Jonathan, who put a call through to his opponent who won the election back then in 2015. But the question to ask is, how free was that election of external forces, which is still a big conversation here in Nigeria?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Even America says its election was interfered with by Russia.
But what we can learn from the Ghanaian election is, the values of of democracy. We've seen that call also put through to the winner of the election, John Dramani Mahama, by the opponent and vice president, congratulating him. I doubt that we heard any reports about, ballot box snatching and contentions. Are they litigious as Nigerians? So those are the real issues, and those are the lessons that we can learn from Ghana's election. But beyond that, it's World Human Rights Day 2024, and there's so much that we can also talk about as far as that is concerned. This is also coming right in the middle of the arrest of human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi, who has now been granted bail, by the way. But there's a debate on that matter as far as it contributes to our jurisprudence in the country. Should we do away with the criminal defamation, or should we retain it in our laws? Those are real issues, that we should talk about. And of course, there's been that debate about jurisdiction, about the process itself, how he's been treated, since some say it's a civil case, other it's a criminal case. But more importantly, how do we take care of that matter of securing fundamental human rights if we want to expand that space, by ensuring that we transit to civil defamation and jettison criminal defamation? Or how do we protect the rights of those who may have their character injured as a result of what has been published against them? So very important matters to reflect on as the world celebrates Human Rights Day.
Absolutely, guys. So let's get to the business of the day, and we're going to be touching base with everyone that has to do with the protests that people are organizing concerning Dele Farotimi and all of the issues around it. But we're looking at local government autonomy. Now that the federal government, or the courts, I should say, that's the right thing to say, the Supreme Court has affirmed the position of local government as democratically elected officials at that level. How are they faring in terms of implementation? Are they really autonomous as they should be? That will be one of our very key conversations today on the program.
Well, that's not all. We'll also take a look at some of the young people driving positive change and making big moves in key sectors of the economy.
All right, and staying with the youth, there is a growing group of change makers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, as we call it, STEM. But how does the work they do shape the future? Well, that's something we're also big on the show this morning.
And
of course, the Nollywood actress will be joining us on the program, Ariola Odubela. Yes, that's the right way to say the name. To break it down for us on the journey into Nollywood, we like celebrating our actors and our actresses and what they are doing. Building from ground zero to where they are is something I always, and all of us always like to celebrate, because it's never easy to build from ground up. That is why we're bringing them to the fore to say exactly what is going on within that space. All right.
Of course, you can join us on the conversation this morning. There's so many big stories to react to. Of course, Dele Farotimi has been granted bail. There's also that conversation about 2027 already, and some are asking, should we reward a student for failure to deliver on his academics? What are the big stories, for you as far as you're concerned? You can write to us, hashtag CTV Morning Brief on X, and of course on all the other social media platforms. Right after this time out, we'll be bringing you the big stories on the Morning Brief.
And I've got to pose it for you. That is our WhatsApp number with which you can send us messages. So, Jeffrey, you said something earlier on. Is the court, the Federal High Court, also a part of the federal government? The Supreme Court, are they part of the federal government?
No,
don't answer that. Let us know what you think.
Federal
government, when people think federal government, what do they think? But the courts as well, are they part of the federal government? So when you say the federal government has announced, can you use that for the court?
We have the judicial arm of government.
That's a true question. But guys, while they are debating, we'll take a quick break and come back for your top stories. Join us again. Up on the brief this morning is the Federal High Court in Ekiti, that's in Ado-Ekiti, granting bail to rights activist and legal practitioner Dele Farotimi, the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress in the 2023 presidential election. Moyere Shore disclosed this, that the court's decision via his handle on Monday. The court granted him bail for 50 million naira with a surety at the same amount, while the surety must also provide a landed property as collateral.
Well, the Senate, through its Finance Committee, has issued a warning of zero allocation to government-owned agencies that fail to provide proper expenditure records from the 2024 fiscal year. Chairman of the Finance Committee, Senator Sani Musa, during an investigative hearing, said the committee will withhold allocations to any agency that it summons for scrutiny. The committee also expressed dissatisfaction with the centralized payment system managed by the Office of the Accountant General.
Quite an interesting development. Let's tell you that the National Information Technology Development Agency has alerted Nigerians about a banking malware, Grandoriro, I hope I pronounce that correctly. That's a Trojan which target users globally through sophisticated punishing or phishing campaigns. The advisory released by NITSA Computer Emergency Readiness and Response Team noted that the new version of that particular spyware is a significant threat using advanced technologies or techniques, including screen overlay attacks and remote device control to steal sensitive information such as banking credentials and personal data.
Wow.
Scary.
Banking technical departments must, strengthen the system such that, bankers can be protected. Well, away from that now, Syrian citizens flocked to the main square of the capital city of Damascus to mark what many regard as a long-awaited new dawn after the fall of President Bashar al-Assad. Assad fled to Russia on Sunday after a lightning offensive spearheaded by Islamist rebels ousted him from power, opening a new chapter in Syria's history after 5 decades of rule by his clan.
Interesting development in Syria. Let's head to sports, where Premier League referee David Kute has been sacked by the Professional Game Match Officials Limited. In a statement, the PGMOL, that's Pigmo, says a thorough investigation concluded he was in serious breach of the provisions of his employment contract, with his position deemed untenable. Kute was initially suspended by the PGMOL after a video appeared to show him making derogatory comments about Liverpool and their former manager, Jurgen Klopp.
Now let's touch on entertainment, as Nollywood actress Osas Ighodaro has revealed an upcoming movie collaboration with Grammy Award-winning artist Burna Boy. The actress made the announcement on a podcast explaining that the movie which will mark Burna Boy's Nollywood debut, will be an adventure film which will utilize 3 languages. Interesting one there, Jeffrey.
It's good to see the guys breaking barrier. I like to say I've never seen Burna Boy in a movie, by the way. This would be an interesting development. I can't remember ever seeing Burna Boy in a movie. So I'm going to take my time to watch and see what this plays out. Osas, we already know Osas, how good she can be with that thing. But those are the stories we're tracking for you. Let's not get to some of the things you're saying on X. And we'll get started with that particular court judgment or court order granting bail to Dele Farotimi to the tune of 50 million naira, and of course all the shorties that are involved in all of this that we've listed when we told you the very first story on our list story today. As a matter of fact, we understand that certain people will be protesting across different parts of the world, including London and Nigeria, asking for his release. He hasn't been released, but he's just been granted bail. Let's see, the first person is coming from Bobby Dinero. So freedom is a possession of inestimable value, but it comes with a price in Nigeria.
Well, there's so much more as far as that is concerned. And speaking of which, the next speaker this morning, Jeffrey, you have that?
Njoku is saying the court has turned into a financial franchise of the federal government, given the fact that they are asking for 50 million. So that's this individual's interpretation. Modern Geek says those are stiff allegations. He has really no evidence. He can counter-sue.
Well, Adhan Abdullahi Adam is the next writer this morning, and he says, I don't think Dele Farotimi will concoct lies against Afe Babalola. The way Mr. Farotimi speaks, one can think this man is courageous enough to bear the pain of telling truth to power. Why is Nigeria, the judiciary, many times favor the rich. Well, why does the Nigerian judiciary many times favor the rich and the powerful? Well, you cannot say that as a matter of, authority, that whatever he has said is the truth, and he dares to tell truth to power. All of those matters will be debated in the court of law to see whether he's guilty or not.
It's a subject under adjudication, which says the higher the offender, the heavier the bail, except if the offender is bigger and more influential than the offended. But move away from that to DSS saying has no business. DSS has no business searching bags at airports. That's according to the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo. This is not the first time we're hearing officials making statements like this, saying this is not legal, this is not right, but we hope that this is coming from us. This is coming from the minister. I think this is the first time we're hearing it from him at this level. It's going to be implemented, saying DSS has no business searching bags at airports. Okay, Aloba Gideon says, at Keyamo is busy minding his business, delivering a new aviation sector amidst all of the legal defamation brouhaha.
And Joe X says, only on the account of suspicion of a particular individual, they can, not randomly harassing people. Well, I hope I get the point of this user's, statement, but the law should not be selective.
Oh, yeah. Ayo Gold, I guess, saying that if they have a reason to search, they can search. Ayo Gold says, Nigeria airport so stressful. Everyone of them want to check your bag like they got more security than the country you flew in from.
And Tunde Jide Olusoya says, why not? There's special forces for security. Even your office can be searched by them.
Oyekomi Samuel says, if they don't have business with you, they won't search your bag. They have eyes.
And this next one, Jeffrey, is very important because it brings back to the conversation the issue of bullying. Just a few months ago, we had cause to address that, following the video released of the continuous bullying of a particular student in a secondary school in the FCT. And this happens to be, have been reported from the FCT yet again. We have that video. Let's bring it to you, and then we'll bring your thoughts close. And there you have it. We're unable to bring you the entirety of that video because of
it's
evidently uncomfortable.
Yes, it's quite uncomfortable. I don't know what those children were doing, because they are children in my estimation. They are adolescents at most. I don't think any of them is an adult. All of this, people will say bullying is part of the system in anywhere you go in the world. But there are limits to how these things can go. There's an extent, because we have seen situations where people were even killed in the process, and this is not acceptable. Some of us were bullied in secondary school, and so we understand what is playing out here, but the extent to which they are going is not acceptable. Let's see, Omar King, Scotland says, anybody who attended a boarding secondary school in Nigeria will know that most of the evil acts we see today in our leaders and our society at large are bred from these boarding houses.
And Marky says, this is just wickedness. No way they turned a human into a dog. Bullying must stop. This school should be questioned and those bullies expelled. And this is where we just may miss, the former Minister of Women Affairs, who would have, delved right into the issue and issued stern warnings. But Jeffrey, we must reiterate that bullying is not part of the system. Bullying is not who we are. We must define who we are as individuals and, collectively as members of the society or members of the nation. We must not lose our humanity. You referred to the heir apparent of Ishekiri Kingdom, who was bullied until he was killed in his university. So this is not, what we should encourage young people to do. When they continue to do this, we must ask where they are from. What environment they grew up in. Who are those who are bringing up these children to be this way?
Yeah, I understand you perfectly. It's just that some of us went to boarding school, so we have seen these things before.
Yeah, we went to boarding school as well, so we can tell stories as far as bullying is concerned. We're just saying it should stop.
All right, so let's go to more of it. Okay, we have a video to show you. Just a moment. We have a lot to show you, but just watch this.
Come outside, please. All of you, everybody, please. Move a go. No, move a guy. Move a guy. One. No. Don't carry it like this. Please, just shift him. No. You can go back inside. Shift it. No, okay, shift it, please. 1, Shift it, shifting.
Now shifting, guys.
Shifting.
Shifting the people.
Shifting, once more. Bros, shifting.
1, 2, 3.
Come back from that place.
This one,
50 again. Guys, shift your side.
Shift your side, push. Put down for twice the side.
It's okay.
One can come.
Please, they can come outside. Give your hands to them.
We are police. Come out.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. You have been
all right, so we must commend the Nigerian police for a job well done to discover wherever this is in Akwa Ibom. We understand this is
to be precise.
Is it in Uyo?
Yeah.
Okay. Uyo in Akwa Ibom State, where this was. I think the environment looks fenced somewhere in the bush, stuck away somewhere. It's just this inhumane treatment, but we must thank the police for doing their job. But this shouldn't end here. The perpetrators of some of this crime must be brought to book.
Yeah, and we hope that there'll be more clarity, as far as how these people got into that hole is concerned. But again, we thank the police for this gallantry as demonstrated in the rescue of those individuals.
I could say they'll be traumatized for a long time because I could see literal fear when the police were firing shots in the air. Just to scare whoever wants to come against them. The guys and the lady, especially the guy, especially, you can see him really shaking and afraid. But that's all we can take from you as far as the trends on the social media is concerned. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to that very first conversation about local government autonomy. Join us again.
So let's get right into it. We started off with the talk about government at different levels, federal, state, and local. Now, these issues are worth reiterating because this is actually at the heart of good governance, knowing who should do what, knowing who is responsible for what. That way you know who to go to when you have issues. So today we're turning our attention to the local governments yet again. I mean, we do this literally every other day, so Nigerians do not lose sight. It's been months since that judgment by the Supreme Court, but how far have we gone in ensuring local government autonomy, either financially, administratively, or what have you? We're joined on the program this morning by someone who clearly is in the know, the chairman of the Lekki local government area here in Lagos State, Engineer Sheson Olowa joins us virtually on the program, as well as the executive director of EIE Nigeria, that's Enough is Enough Nigeria, Opayemi Adamalekun, also joining us virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you.
Well, local government chair, I'd like to begin with you because you're right in the middle of all of the actions in local government. And I'd like to just know, by way of update for Nigerians, have we made any significant headway regarding financial autonomy for local governments? And this is what I mean. Take, for example, November, the monies that came in. Did it drop into your own account, or it's still in the joint account of a state and a local government? Has that been cleared just yet, Engineer Olowa?
Okay, so thank you very much for having me. My name is Sheson Olowa, like Raleigh mentioned, and I'm the chairman of Lekki local government. The question you asked, the fact is that, yes, the money has not been paid directly into local government accounts. And I think it's as a result of the fact that the framework for implementation is still being put together. Okay, if you take our case in Lagos, for example, the state local government joint account has been in operation for some years now, and that has been running efficiently and seamlessly. So definitely, it's going to take 1 or 2 adjustments before that Supreme Court judgment can be fully implemented. But I'm very sure that a lot of that is being put into works, and very soon local governments will start getting their funds directly.
Just to be clear, is that to say that the judgment by the Supreme Court does not really change anything materially for you, whether you get it directly or it's through the joint account? Do you say that it doesn't change much?
Okay, so for us in Lagos State, yes, I don't think it has really, it has really brought a significant change because before the Supreme Court judgments, local governments in Lagos State have their own financial autonomy because we attend our joint JAC meetings on a monthly basis, and funds are released, to the local government for their operation. So it's not a major shift for us. Maybe for some other states, I am not sure. But in Lagos, local governments are running, efficiently, even with the joint account structure, the JAC structure. Yeah.
All right, let me go to Yemi quickly, because the clamor was for, we need local government autonomy in Nigeria. That would strengthen local governance, ensure that dividends of democracy get to the grassroots, But it's interesting to hear Engineer Lawa say, for them, it doesn't change much. So is this a reflection of what you find across board, or the Lagos experience is different?
Yeah, that's what I...
Yeah, so okay. Pardon me, that's for Yemi Adamola moving office now. Please.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
I think the Lagos experience is different because I think the narrative of most citizens across the country is that they don't know what their local government is doing with the funds that they get. And the narrative is also that the state government, in a sense, hampers the independence of the local government because it comes to them first. So for the sake of argument, let's say you're supposed to get 100 million and it goes into the state account first. The state government then says, we have helped do primary schools, which is your responsibility, so we'll take a bit of it. We have helped pick up trash, which is your responsibility, so we'll take a bit of it. So by the time, in a sense, they give the change to the local government has less of a say in how they run what is their constitutional mandate.
Well, let me come to you, local government chairman in Lagos. You say that nothing is to change significantly, even if the local government autonomy were begun to be, financial autonomy would be implemented. But if we looked at local governments, particularly in the LCDAs in Lagos, it would seem as if development was not reaching people at the grassroots as it ought to be. So even with the fairly independent structure that you say Lagos State has, it appears as if the impact is not being felt. How do you respond to this?
Well, that's subjective, and if you say the impact is not being felt in Lagos State local government or LCDA, I really want to use my local government as a case study, and so many other local government and LCDA where I'm very, very sure they are making impacts. Local governments in Lagos State are involved in a lot, from primary health care, to primary schools, to sanitation, to local economic development. And we can give, examples of where local governments are actually, taking responsibilities at the grassroots level. What we must all understand is that the challenges are quite enormous. And I know there are rooms for improvement, but of course, if you take each local government as a case study, I think it will be better, so you don't generalize and make such, subjective statement that local government are not creating impact. If you want to check individually, you can take a particular local government and ask questions about how well have you done in the area of primary health care, how well have you done in the area of primary school, how well have you done in the area of sanitation. In my local government, our local government is involved seriously in sanitation. We're working with Loma, and we've created an agency called the Lekki Waste Management Office with garbage collection tricycles that goes from different households everywhere in the local government to collect and transport waste, to designated location. That's just one of the examples. If you go to education, you will see that we are making a lot of intervention, both in infrastructure and also supporting students in the area of industry and scholarship. We've even partnered with some of the university, the Pan-Atlantic University, is in my local government, and we have a strong partnership with them where over 100 students enjoy free lectures every weekend, both in the sciences, commercials, and arts, and fully funded by the local government. So these are some of the examples of how we have impacted our communities.
So let's break it down for the people. Since you're the local government chair, and sometimes people mix what the responsibility of the state and the local government are. So you're in the seats now. Help us understand. We know it, but for the generality of the public, what exactly do you do that doesn't interface or intersect with that of the duty of the state, so that when proper accountability is sought, we know who to hold responsible for what?
Okay, so for local governments, as provided in the Constitution, the responsibility includes that of primary schools, primary education, primary health care, that's the primary health care centers. We're also involved in sanitation. We're also part of the Economic Planning Board, for joint economic planning development of the state. We, as local governments, we also involve in local economic development. Our responsibility includes, provision of market infrastructure, oversight for those markets, and some other things. So essentially, those are the basic things that we do in the local government. And we are the closest government to the grassroots. So issues that are border on, our vulnerables, disabled, elderly, widows, and all of these are part of the social responsibilities of the local government.
The reason why we're asking that question is primarily because at the end of the day, we know that you have your responsibility. We also know that part of the responsibility of the local government level of administration is also to bring the attention of the states to some of the concerns and challenges of the local government. But I'm going to come back to you in just a moment as a follow-up, especially that has to do with internal roads in Lagos. There are certain parts of Lagos that internal road, they are quite in a horrible state, and we've raised this up even with the governor himself. Let's now bring in the chairman of Obiakpo local government area in Rivers State, Chijioke Nwunwo, joins us via Zoom. Chijioke, thank you so much for coming on the program. All right, let's begin with some of the things my colleague did ask your colleague, who is the Bejuleki chairman, and that has to do with the local government autonomy. I know that when it comes to Rivers State, there has been a lot of challenges, and even there are still challenges, but we see how things are being done at the moment. So let's begin with, as we speak, the way monies are paid from the federal allocation, does it come directly to your local government, Obiakpo, or it goes to the JAC account and goes to your account? Let's establish that first. Did you get my question? Okay, just go ahead with your answer.
All right, just before I go to Yemi Adamaleko of Enough is Enough, quickly, Mr. Nwunwo, so how much was the allocation, the last allocation you received for Obiakpo? All right, so I'll come back to you. All right, I'll come back to you to get a sense of accountability and transparency in spending those funds. But Yemi, so it looks like if we do a survey on TV right now, most of the local government chairs will say we're enjoying some sort of autonomy, even though it's not coming directly to us. And that's why I asked, did we really need that judgment? But clearly you know that that is not the reality. This is maybe an exception, really. So let's now move to the part of the monies received. Really, how well do people feel the impact? You do my LGA, you go around, you feel the pulse of the people. So walk us through what your experience has been. So we're not just limiting this to a local government in Lagos and a local government in Rivers State.
The biggest thing is there's a very strong perception that local governments don't get their money. So which is why when the Supreme Court judgment came out, there was a lot of excitement, if I want to put it that way, even though some lawyers will debate that they inadvertently amended the Constitution. But be that as it may, people were excited because it now meant that the local governments will get their monies that the state governments were sitting on. But as you rightly said, you now get feedback, and the local government chairman are saying, oh, we get it. It comes to the state, but we get it. So if people don't think their local government has money or don't see what they're doing, your colleague was talking about internal roads, which most of them are local government roads. But if they don't then see or feel that they're doing anything, the strong perception that they're not working because they don't have money has set in for a lot of citizens. So they don't bother to engage. So I think a big part of what we're doing now is saying that, one, government has said, first of all, if you don't have elections, you are not getting money. And we've seen what that has done, because since the judgments in July, we've had a spate of elections, probably about 15 or so. I think total 22 have happened since July. I don't remember how many were already scheduled before the judgment. But the judgment certainly triggered local governments, state governments quickly doing elections so they could ensure they get their money. And that says a lot, number one. Number two, these things that you guys are talking about responsibilities. Because we see in a lot of, take Lagos, and I'll use Lagos as an example. We have LOMA. LOMA is a state agency, whereas sanitation and trash collection is the local government's responsibility. But as the chairman is saying for Ibejuleki, they have had to, in a sense, innovate around what LOMA does, because LOMA has these huge trucks that can't go down his roads, and they are responsible for trash collection. So they set up tricycles, so the tricycles can go down the roads, pick up the trash, and then liaise with LOMA around the facilities that LOMA owns to dispose of the trash. So you see that example. In some states, I think it was Rivers actually, for a while, that the states took on primary education, renovated all the schools and was doing that. So when you see some of these overlaps in roles, citizens sometimes get a bit lost in who is supposed to do what. That's number one. Number two, the perception that they're not getting their money. One of our partner organizations, Budget, now does an excellent job in letting citizens know, and you can access how much is each local government getting. So I think the work that really needs to be done is, one, education, or amplifying the knowledge around the role of local government. Number two, budgeting. Engineer Loa was at a program we hosted last week, and he talked about the fact that his own budget is on their website. So you can actually access the Ibejuleki local government's budget on their website. 2025 is coming up, they'll do that. I'm not sure how many local governments can actually boldly say that. But again, getting citizens to then understand what is budgeted at the local government level, what their needs are, and engage. And that's where a lot of work is yet to be done. And I think I'll end also by saying accessibility, because I think for a long time, local government chairmen, quite frankly, got a pass because people didn't really engage, didn't pay attention. But now that there's a lot of talk and activity around them getting money directly, and as civic actors were engaging, they would, in a sense, be required to be a bit more transparent about what they're doing with the monies, because we know the amount and we can ask questions around, you're getting this much, my road is bad, our schools don't look well, our primary healthcare centers don't look well, and we can have that conversation.
Okay, so Mr. Olowa, let me come to you now and ask, perhaps you could tell us what your last allocation was.
Muted. You're muted, sir.
Mr. Olowa. Okay, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, so in terms of allocation, I think it's in the public domain what goes to, local government. However, like I said, every JAC meeting, we look at the distribution to different local governments and LCDAs. And for my local government, what came to us was about 352 million thereabout, after, other deductions that has to do with training, pension, staff salaries, primary school teachers' salaries, and other savings that we do for our capital projects, yeah.
So can you say the same for chairman of the 37 LCDAs in Lagos? Do they also get their funds directly?
Yes, that's what I said at the beginning, that every local government chairman and LCDA chairman, we attend JAC meetings, every month. And at that meeting, we look at, the numbers and the distribution And that meeting takes place in the presence of the Commissioner for Finance and the Accountant General of the state. So everybody gets, what is due to them from the Federation account.
So pardon me if I seem to have generalized in my first question to you the other time, but we can at least speak to some local governments in Lagos, because it would seem that perhaps the attempts at development, for local governments in Lagos are concentrated maybe on the island where you are, on some parts of the mainland. But if you went to the outskirts of Lagos, or Joe local government, Jeremy Felodun local government, Oriade LCDA, Badagry LCDA, Iba, those areas, their roads are not, for want of better description, they do not have accessible internal roads. Sanitation is in a sorry state in those areas as well. And you could talk about other aspects of development that are within the jurisdiction of the local governments, street lighting, primary healthcare development centers. They're not receiving the attention that they ought to. So are these issues also brought to your JAC meeting where funds are distributed?
Okay, so generally we usually have meetings, within ourselves, and where we do a sort of peer review. And the issue you raised about internal roads, I think what we need to look at is today what is the level of gap in infrastructure that we have across, not just Lagos State, but across the country. What I can say is right now, all the local government and LCDAs in Lagos State are doing about, 1 kilometer road. That's in, there's a project we call 114 road. So you have at least 2 roads that is being constructed, and each road is an average of about 500 meters. Today, if you check the cost of road construction, I mean, standard road construction, you know that it's quite expensive. And, so if you say that some local governments are probably doing well and others are not, I would want to suggest that it would be nice for, like I told, when I met with Yemi, I challenged them that you have to visit various local governments to actually see what each local government is doing, because each one has its own peculiarities. In my local government, I have about 14 primary healthcare centers, and all these primary healthcare centers are under, the local government. So their maintenance, their oversight, everything has to do, with it's the responsibility of the local government. In addition to that, we have about 27 primary schools, so when you go from one local government to the other, you'll be able to assess, the level of work that each person is doing. But from my own assessment, honestly, I think local government chairmen and LCDAs in Lagos State, they are doing their best. Yeah, there's need for improvement, like you mentioned in the area of roads and drainages and all of that. But of course, fairly speaking, everybody is working. Thank you.
All right, Chijioke, let's come to you, and we'll stay with you for a bit. And I know you have, perhaps your local government is one of the richest local governments in Nigeria. 900 million naira per month is quite some money. So maybe you walk us through some of the things you have to deal with in terms of expenses. How much goes into your recurrent, and what kind of project do you take on with that kind of budget? And what are the challenges in between all of this? Chijioke.
All right, so if I'm reporting, what are the challenges you're facing? And I know that the local government of the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, and all the political brouhaha that has ensued in between all of this. So what are the big challenges you're facing as a council? Because right now, the council chairman are receiving a lot of money. That means accountability is key. At the end of the day, just like we put our searchlight on the federal government to show account for what they have done with our monies, you guys will also show account for what you're doing with our money.
Best council chairman.
All right, just quickly.
Meet them, tell them what is their needs, what they want the local government to do for them. Whatever they tell us, that's what we are not imposing project on the communities. We are going to, whatever they tell us, we'll do for them.
All right. Absolutely, and it's important to have that. But quickly, people are raising questions about the state of roads, internal roads in Obiakpo. So we'd like you to speak to us. Cornerstone Road, is that under your purview or the state government?
Akania Obugu road, that road is linked to that particular road, and the governor said he's going to also award that contract for construction of that road. That's a state government road project. Let me also say that most of the roads that are bad, most of the roads that are bad, the local government is not trying to fix it up for temporarily, while the state government need to do something about it. But we know that our government have a very proactive, and the government that has conscience, and he has told us that all the roads that are very bad in the local government will be fixed within now and next year. I think the government is also working.
Accountable, and all of the local government chairs across the country hold you accountable in terms of transparency and accountability. So
if you get 900 million, for example, do you have a website where you publish what the money is used for? Can the people see right now, if they want to see how much or how that 900 million was spent? Do you have such? No, my question is, can people see, my question is, can the people of Obiakpo see a breakdown? Do you have a platform? I mean, Ibejuleki has a website. Do you have a website where you put a breakdown?
Yes, my people are the ones who are doing, it's not about social media, it's everywhere. My people are proud of me because I'm doing well. I've said everything that
we use for our people. It's not my personal use, to be used for our people.
Well, Mr. It's not about your people trusting you. We don't doubt that, but we need to see evidence. You understand me? Let us see the evidence. So if you spend 100 million,
there are evidence. You can call your people. You can listen to me, sir.
Documented.
If I come over to Port Harcourt by next week, I can take you around my local government and see the project I am doing.
Right, Chijoke.
I see the project I'm doing.
All right, Chijoke, just a moment. So what we're saying, like Ibejuleki, like some of the places in Lagos, what my colleague is saying is, nobody's arguing about your capacity or no capacity. No, not everybody lives in Obiakpo local government. So, for instance, an Obiakpo local government, a resident of Obiakpo who is a member of that local government, who is from Obiakpo, lives in London, and hears the money is coming into your local government and just wants to see, just like you have in federal government, we see ERGov, I think that's what it's called, some spending platform where every money that is spent by the federal government, we can go and see and we question it. Is there a platform? Are you working on a website or a platform where we say 900 million came, 800 million came, 500 million came. This is how you're spending it. Just a platform. It's not to come and verify. So that when you say you spent the money, we can come and verify.
How much we spend every month. This is what comes in. This is how much we put in our project. It's all over social media. It's all the platform. Like he also said that those who are in London, US, Canada, who are from our local government, they can testify to that. Most of them are even calling me that, Mr. Chairman, we are proud of you. The issue of security is we are putting our best to make sure that our local government is safe. So maybe one of these, I'm going to invite you, come to River State and come to Obiakpo and see for yourself. So you can also lead the campaign that shows I'm doing very well as a council chairman.
Very soon. Let me come to you, Mr. Damaleko. You know, this question about accountability is quite important amid this conversation, particularly because after the Supreme Court judgment, there was a flurry of the conduct of local government elections across the country. Well, some are still outstanding, but with, you know, that view expressed in many quarters that governors were still using several subtle means to hold on to the funds of local government. And in fact, for the first time, even the commissioner in Lagos State, Commissioner for Information, has had courts to respond to concerns about funds, saying that local government funds in Lagos go directly to local government accounts. One wonders if this is, just a veneer for what is really happening. How can we ensure a true audit of funds of local government across the country, not just in Lagos or in Rivers, but across the country, to ensure that indeed the funds that are being sent directly to the accounts when full implementation begins are being spent on what they are allocated for?
Well, there are two parts to it. I think one is knowing how much they're getting, and you asked the question. So I was checking on our partner's website budget. The latest data they have is for July. So Vejuleki got about 1.4 billion in July, and Obiapo got about 840 million naira for the month of July 2024, because that's the data they have. So number one is having data available. Number two is citizens engaging. So number one, there's a budget. So the local government chairman and the councillors shouldn't just sit in a room and decide that this is what we're going to spend money on. What they spend money on should be a reflection of what the citizens in the local government deem to be important to them. And the only way to do that is to be part of that budgeting process. Now, you were asking the chairman about, is there a website, is there a platform, how do people know? And I couldn't hear him well, but I don't think he answered the question. But the chairman for Ibejuleke is on the line, and when he spoke to us last week, he said they have a website. And as he was talking, one of my colleagues actually went online and checked, and their budget is there. Now, but again, there's one thing for information to be on a website, but not all of us have access. And especially since local government is the lowest tier of government, you have less literacy, less access, internet, light, data, the state of the economy, whatever. It's then where advocates and media play a big role in educating and providing access. So if I know that my local government gets 1.5 billion, I know where his office is. What is important to me is this. He talks about the fact that they do town halls, that they invite different resident associations and communities to participate. So there is work to be done in citizens engaging and participating, because you can't demand accountability in silence. So the local government has a responsibility to provide information, and citizens also must ask. And so when there's more information, then it makes it easier for both the local government and citizens to agree on what's important and then implement it.
And I'll end with Engineer Law on this one. In terms of reaching out, people interfacing with your government, what are the channels? And I hope that people in other parts of the country can use this to interface with their local government chairman as well. How open is your door, and what are the channels through which your constituents can reach you?
Okay, so we employ various channels. One of the channels we use is, social media. We also have, like Yemi mentioned, we have our website where we communicate regularly what the government's policies are and what programs we're doing. Beyond this, we also do regular stakeholders engagement. Like my colleague from Rivers State mentioned, local government do town halls meeting on a weekly basis. You have to meet various stakeholders. And we also go to their various communities. In the last 1 or 2 months, I have been visiting gated estates within my local government. So I go to them, I attend their meetings, their monthly meetings, just so that we know some of their, the issues that are, bothering them, and also share with them what our government is doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's allow Mr. Nwo to have a final word on this one. In terms of reaching out as well, what are the channels? Can people write letters to you? Can they walk into your office and say, this is the issue we have, without fear of being victimized and saying, you are not supporting the government, we know you, so we're not going to listen to you, you can't come here? Is it easy to approach you, Mr. Nwo?
So started the PhD grants for those from our local government who are their supporters. But when we came in, we said no, that these people are Obiapo indigenous. We must pay the complete fees for them to go and finish what they are doing in the higher institution, because whatever they gain today we say attributed to the local government. So I said no, the 200 of them should be paid this first to immediately finish what they are doing. So we are not victimizing everybody. We are very open. Like I said before, we reach out to our people. They have counselors. We also visit them, holding town hall meetings. What is the issue? We're not talking about politics. We're talking about governance. Whether you're supporting the governor or not, what we are doing, I'm the council chairman of Obia local government. I'm not here to victimize anybody. Whether you're supporting us or not, you are from our local government, and we must give our people attention and see how we develop our local government. So we're not victimizing anybody. My office is open for everybody. You can also call people independently and do independent search about me. They will tell you that my office is like in my one market in River State. People come and see me, and I'm open to people.
Thank you so much. This is something we'll definitely be following up on. Mr. Chijoke, Chairman Obiakwa Local Government Area, River State, thank you for your time, as well as Engineer Sheson Lawa, Chairman Ibejuleki Local Government Area here in Lagos State, as well as Opeyemi Adamalekun, the Executive Director, EIE Nigeria. Thank you so much. I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
We hope we've been able to arm you with the right information and motivation to go to your local government chair's office, go to the secretariat, ask questions, write letters. So test it and let us know the kind of feedback you get. You have our WhatsApp numbers or the hashtag, let us know. We'll take a moment now on the show, and when we return, yet another important conversation is up on the menu. So stay with us.
Welcome back. So it's time now to make progress in our conversation, and we're moving away from politics and administrative governance to looking at developments in education, in a specific field in education to be precise, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. If the future economy of the world will be powered by STEM, how is Nigeria preparing for that knowledge-driven economy? All right, so joining us to have this conversation this morning, we have Dr. Chukwuma Ogbonnaya, who is...
That will be in the next segment, Bukola. Now we have Mr. Sinari Daranijo. Thank you for teasing us, Bukola. We'll definitely look forward to that conversation. Mr. Sinari Daranijo is a Group CEO, Symbol Group, and a board member of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. And yes, it's sort of the next level after education, and that's about entrepreneurship, mindset change, ensuring that Nigerian youths really show that powerful force which they are for transformation, innovation, and development. But I'll start with this. I'll backtrack a bit. There are a lot of young people who see the system has really pitched against them, right? So they go through all of the rites of passage, go to school, do all of the things you tell them to do, and they leave all of those, institutions, and they say adulthood is a scam because things don't seem to be working for them. But you've had to deal with a lot of young people in terms of mindset change, help them position themselves well to make that change they want to change. So what would you say is the first critical thing to note for young Nigerians who want to make a change and they think, hey, the system is not working for us?
Good morning, guys. Apparently, I'll start by saying that anyone below 35 should not be looking at their physical environment. They should, they have the internet, they have the platform that will take them international. So right now, everything you've learned in university, you put in your back pocket, and you have to skill yourself, find short courses to skill yourself up, and find a way to, get on the world platform. There's so many opportunities for them now.
So let me just be clear. Can everybody make it? Can everybody make it?
Well, it won't be everybody, but it'll be a good chunk of the volume. We have those who can do physical work. The people who, a lot of people didn't find work. They started doing Uber. They started, you just have to find some kind of self-help, entrepreneurship, a way to fit into the system.
Or let me tweak it a bit, pardon me. Will everyone who employs this, these steps, sort of, will they make it? I think that's a better way to put it. If you follow those steps and do those things, will you make it in that sense?
I don't know what you mean by that word making, because
that's why I put it in quotes.
Have you made it?
So a lot of people see making it as first being able to fend for yourself.
Yes.
Having enough money to feed, pay for your rent. Basically just live a comfortable life.
I think a lot of young people are getting onto that platform. I mean, there's so much going on online for them, and they can upskill. I think you should be able to get to that level if you follow those paths. I won't be able to give you a percentage, but for everyone who strives, they would achieve.
So let's do more like an example or a simulation, if you will.
Yes.
So pick a particular natural gift, because we're here to help the young people.
Yeah.
Think of a gift and see how you can simulate in such a way, say, these are the things you should be looking out to do that aligns with your gift that you can scale eventually.
So right now, your mindset matters. Your entrepreneurship mindset is what kicks in at this time. They probably know the percentage of jobs available are not going to help all the young people. So you're going to look at your talent. We have people who are going into acting, people who are going into, there's so IT, tech, everything is tech driven now. So you must have an affiliation to tech to survive in today's world. So for every new person, even employees, to solve problems now, you have to go on technology platform. So whatever you've done, whatever you've read, you must be tech savvy.
So does
even
it mean
Ubers are driven by tech. Yes. Delivery vehicles are driven by tech. Our vehicles, everything is driven by tech.
So does it mean that if you don't understand technology, or the system is already rigged against you? Is that what you're saying?
Kind of at this time, yeah. But it's very easy because a lot of them, I mean, you can sell anything online. You can sell clothes, you can sell hair, you can sell shoes, there's so many things that people are doing.
So besides, not everybody can be an actress, and not everybody can be, an
entrepreneur.
Yes.
But besides that, what are the leading skills that people are not necessarily paying attention to, but are also paying, from your training experience?
Seriously, I'm going back to tech. Today's skills must be tech-enabled, except you want to do manual labor. You want to be a construction person, sales and marketing, communications, and things that, I mean, you can sell the property sales market today has over God knows how many thousands of young people who are just sales agents. So you must have good communication skills. You must also be able to interact. So if you're looking at work, I mean, what's the percentage of jobs that are available today from the Connect? So if you're talented, you have to use your talents. If you just have to find a way, because at this time there's no help. It's self-help time.
A little bit of an advisory. We just spoke to the local government chairman, and when you look at the way politicians process development, it's interesting. And I guess it's the way we assess and score them. So if, for instance, they develop intangible things like school curriculum or send people will not say, but when they build roads and build bridges and build all of those, they say, oh, he was a great guy, he did a great job. So if you were to advise, say, a local government chairman, so let's get back to that conversation we had just before we brought you in, and you were to advise them on where to deploy money to get the critical mass in terms of capacity to be able to cause revolutionary development within their circle and within their spaces, what will it be?
First, I would say that, the prosperity of a nation, of an environment, is based on the sum total of all our individual prosperities. So we need to invest in human capital, in the human being more. But then, even they need to have infrastructure. The different levels. Infrastructure must come with education. If you are educated and you're ready to drive, the infrastructure must be available for you to deploy and maximize your potential. So for the local government chairman, yes, they're doing what they're doing. Really, they really just need to provide infrastructure for the people to thrive. That's really what government should do. And that also includes, obviously, investing in all the areas: health, education, construction, roads, water, electricity, all the basics.
So no direct intervention in some sort of, if you will.
They have to spread it. They cannot just say, hey, we're going to do human capital alone and there'll be no roads to take your potato or your tomato when you finish growing it.
You know, sometimes it feels like swimming against the tide. Really, there's just a lot happening at the same time, and you're trying to figure out, are they for me or against me? And I want to speak for a lot of young Nigerians out there. So you want to start a business. Let's say you want to start a barbing salon, for example. So you rent a shop. You know how much it is to rent a shop. Let's say you rent a shop for ₦1 million. Let's put it mildly in some areas, or less. And then you have to, put all of the things. I mean, you have to cut here, right? You put a chair and all. I'm coming. And then the moment you start, the local government officials come and say you have to pay television tax, you have to pay this tax, that tax, and all of that. And like, I've not even started this business yet. So when Jeffrey says, the thinking of governance yet again, does it really align? And I want you to speak directly to these issues, because these are the tides that mitigate against the success of young people. You start a business and then you're burdened by all of these bottlenecks.
Okay, so before I go to government, if I was going to do anything
I saw that coming.
Yeah, that's it. I always have to tell you, because my mindset has lifted above all that.
Right.
If I'm going to do barbing, for instance, seriously, I'm going to put together data. I'm going to look at family and friends, and I'm going to go to their houses to cut the hair out first. Today, you don't set up a shop to sell clothes. Why invest 5 million naira with a 50,000 working capital? You shouldn't expose yourself to the government people. They're doing their work. They have revenue to collect. You must remember that. They need to develop the country. So don't think they have their role. So they must come and collect those things from you. There are things that you must factor into your entire business. So if you're not ready to set up shop, you can still make money before setting up shop. So we must balance these things.
No, the reason why we're picking...
But government may begin to look at that space as well, that digital space for tax collection.
No, they're already looking at it. Lagos, for instance, remote work.
So is it something that, the entrepreneurs on that space should also be preparing for?
I don't think government can directly impact on you at that point. How shall I say it? It's what you present to government that government works on. So you are still your own person. And like I was telling, at one point, a shift started for jobs in the UK. And people started applying for jobs as businesses. You know what that means? You set up an enterprise and you apply. It's your skill. You are the staff, but you're going to go. Why are you doing that? Okay. Why are you doing that? Because you want to reduce tax. You must first run your expenses before you declare what is left to be taxed. But if you go straight for the job, the direct income is taxed raw. But if you go as an enterprise, you have to run your expenses first before you pay tax.
So in that space, you've been talking a lot about tech communication skills. How well paying is it? And, what is the setting out for those who are looking to explore that space?
So right now, there's an immediate drive in the world for artificial intelligence knowledge, how to apply AI skills to every part of business, to your marketing, to your real estate, to climate change. There's so much information to be derived by young people. At this point, I think Nigeria, it is called future-ready skills for the future-ready workforce. The future-ready workforce must acquire these skills now, and we can actually put 1 million or more people on that platform in the next 1 year.
My curiosity, you've mentioned something that's I just remembered now. It means that, or don't you think, so let me put a question to you. Don't you think it's time for us to look at our curriculum again? Definitely. Is that not fundamental to whatever it is that we're all aspiring for as a collective?
The commissioners for education, the people in the education sector should understand that things have changed. And we cannot continue to do things in the old way that will never lead us to jobs. The future of work is being able to, like you said, fend for yourself after you leave school. Why go to university for 4 years and you only have to do a 2-month course to earn money? So today, all you need is a 3-month certification and you start earning money. And then you can earn money on the world platform, which means anywhere in the world. For instance, there's some countries in the world now that require certain skills. I mean, people say we shouldn't encourage JAPA, but JAPA is going to help our economy in the future. We have a large percentage of young people. 70% of Nigeria's population is below 35. So we're looking at a situation where we want to skill them up in the current skills that the world needs. There's some skill gaps in a lot of countries in the world that Nigerians can first build their skills and then either offer the service by sitting here or go out there to do it. And the more we get young people running services from Nigeria for foreign countries, the more our economy grows intrinsically. And this will have nothing to do with a local government chairman or all those things that you're saying. We have to get to that point where we have to rise above our physical environment.
So you've talked also, about self-help, and in that regard, I'd like to ask, because there's always been this age-long talk about the disconnect between the town and the gown. So are our institutions prepared for, the future of the economy that is powered by skills development and entrepreneurship? And if there's a missing link, how should they begin to position for this next level?
I think first there has to be a strong handshake between private and public sector, and there has to be a lot of awareness in place. I think the curriculum should be changed completely at this point. In fact, you don't need 4 years of education to get to start, because really the future of life is making money. So after you get all your masters and your PhDs, you want to be able to feed your family. You want to be able to pay your bills. So our main focus in life is to be able to pay our bills, isn't it? So we must train people with skills that will enable them get jobs.
Shouldn't we be careful, not to just jettison education? Because there's a lot of talk. I'd rather read a book than go to school.
So the point with that is that there are a lot of factors that you need to build, as we said. Think about it. In our growing up, how many of your first-class students are the best people in the real world? So all that book, they came first in class, they taught all of us to pass, and the ones that we came out with B's and C's, and then who is running the economy now? So you need more skills than just reading to be able to survive in today's world. And things have really changed. We need to be aware that things have changed.
Yeah, and the new Minister of Education seems to be preparing for that with the announcement of the new curriculum that will be powered by skills in 2025. I
saw that. He needs to. I mean, they need to do. He has to be a drastic change, because the world will not wait for us. And luckily, we have a fast-growing youth population that will easily key to that. I mean, you see how 2-year-olds handle telephones. It's not like our 2-year-old. A 2-year-old will look at it and before you look at it, so they are born with the tech-savvy skills. So what they need to do is to enhance it, grow them, and we throw them to the world. We need to work over this economy. We should stop thinking of what's going on physically. We need to look at the world.
And I think that takes me to the next question, naturally. So you said earlier on that, well, naturally, the purpose of life, to the largest extent, is pay your bills, right? Life will not make sense if you can't pay your bills. But some will say, well, that is secondary. Primarily is you finding what they call your purpose, doing what you're made for, basically, and you do it so much that you get paid for it.
Yes,
that comes naturally. But what you find a lot of times is people go to school not to study what they really want to study, just go to school, study anything. They tell you, get a certificate, and they come out, they're frustrated because they're like a round peg in a square hole. So they are struggling to fit, or a square peg in a round hole, they're struggling to fit. So again, in terms of retooling our education, is there a way we can help people first discover who they are, who you really are? Some people don't have any business being doctors. You see them ending up doing content. Fine, they can be medical content creators, but some people don't have businesses studying what they studied.
So basically, that's a major area that we're looking at as a business as well. First, people don't even realize who they are or what they're good at. So one of the main, but the way our education system goes does not allow you to even bring out that talent that you have. If you look at other countries like China, Japan, all those people, you're going to school is not just learning ABC and 1, 2, 3. It also shows skills. All your skills. By the time you are age 5, 6, 7, they can see that it's a good orator. This would be a great engineer because he's always doing things you would know. But here, there's no space for that. So really, I'm going back to my self-help. Just the individual has to find a way, and a lot of us can help.
Yeah.
We all have to be mentors to the young people. We all have to talk to them and then show them. I mean, let us identify their skills and help them. It's a major part of our business going forward. We're thinking of doing a lot of that talent development, skills identification, and then directing people to the right path.
So what are the challenges you've been seeing with, because there's on one hand, there's the element of seeing that there's a challenge with the young people and the young population. What pushback do you get for the people you've interacted with? What are the excuses they are given?
Obviously, one of it is financial. Everybody thinks it's money before work, or they need to invest and all that before they move. I tell people my mindset has always been zero to cash. Also, they talk about government, they talk about the current environment, that there's a lot of issues, like what you're saying. You're thinking of a business and you're already thinking of local government coming to tax you and all that, because you have to start first. So young people already, I don't know, from my own, what I see, a lot of young people already know that they have to lift above this environment. Everybody is building their talents, but anything you build from any angle, you must attach tech to it to lift you up.
So what does Nigeria need, in your view, right now?
We need infrastructure. We need the government to ensure that they give us enough, internet access. We need to change our education curricula, and we need to do a lot of speaking to the youth. I do a lot of speaking engagements. Mindset change is important. You need to let them know. You don't want people, because these kids these days, they easily get into depression, and they're telling you we need to strengthen them. We need to tell them that, look, the future is still bright. And
the reason, the reason I asked that question, so that you can give us an overview, is the fact that, which is where we started from, where these young people just see a young person who perhaps didn't even go to school, but maybe he's a thug, or he has a way of being violent, or he commands the street, ends up in government, and the man who went to school is the one protecting him or serving him one way or the other. They've seen people just by, what's that word again? Gaming the system, right, are able to be quote and unquote successful, and you're telling them to look above the environment, and how do you convince that kind of young person?
So, you didn't hear what I really said. I actually recognize what you just said now, which means that the guy who can make the most noise or break the most potholes will be the one that will be the local government chairman. But at the end of the day, if that's not your forte, you cannot go there. But what we need to do is to get more interested in governance. A lot of us are not interested in governance. When it's time to vote, they don't go and vote. Like you were just saying to the local government chairman, you need to go in there and ask them questions. We don't ask them questions. So there's a lot of awareness that needs to be done. People have to actually understand their rights. I've seen people being stopped on the road by officials, and they tell them they're doing something that they have to pay so much. The fine for that offense is probably 2,000 naira. And some guy is telling you that you must pay 20,000 or 50,000. You're looking because you don't have information. So we need to be more aware of our environment. We need to know the laws and the rules that govern us. It's so important.
And in getting knowledge about rights, education is still critical.
Education is very
because
important.
native intelligence can be overrated when you say that, we need people who can identify with the people at the grassroots, who can relate with the community to also get involved. They need education in order to be aware of their rights, we
cannot zero out education, but it's just the type of education. And the curricula that you put in place to ensure that.
Now, talk to us about inclusion in the tech space, online or offline, because in relating with a lot of physically challenged people, there is a challenge with them also having skills, but having the requisite, the access to the requisite markets, to scale their businesses or to even be able to get heard in the first place. So how can even the online space be more inclusive for physically challenged people to be able to, get ahead?
I would say, let's look at the online space, for instance. I was talking about a physically challenged person is going on the internet as showing and displaying his own skills. So I don't see how you would even know that the person is challenged when they are advertising their goods. All they need to do is to have other people match them and build a community. But for work, I think there has to be more awareness in engaging all those people. I mean, I have a business and we ensure that we have a percentage that we actually employ. We have a call center, we pick up calls. We pick up calls and we make outbound calls for businesses and government. And we ensure that we get physically challenged people in our workforce as well. So it's really education and awareness. There's so much that the average Nigerian do not know. Even culturally, we have a lot of cultural discrepancies. There's so much wrong. But I think that if the government focuses on educating people en masse, and also every one of us in our sphere of influence, we will improve the environment.
Well, we hope that young people are taking note of this. Clearly, there's a lot more you can do if you really venture out there, take some of these tools. It's like the opportunities have been democratized now. It's not about who you know, it's not man know who, it's democratized. So it's left to you to take a hold of your future. But we have to thank you so much, sir, for at least charging young people today. We've been speaking with the Group CEO of Symbol Group, board member, LSCTF. He said earlier on that if you use these steps, there's a likelihood you'll make it in life. Mr. Senari Daranija, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
We'll take a moment now, and when we return, that conversation Bukola teased is next. STEM. What is STEM about? How is it able to transform our reality as a nation and as a people? That's the moment. Stay with us.
Let's get to that conversation that Bukola talked about that has to do with STEM. Now we're joined by Dr. Chukwuma Bonaya, university teacher in manufacturing engineering in in the United Kingdom, and the co-chair of Equity, Diversity and Inclusion, also the co-chair of Race, Ethnicity and Cultural Heritage Network, known as the REACH Network. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You know, just as maybe like taking it back a bit, there was a time STEM was such a thing. Everywhere you turn, STEM, all over the place. It has to do with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. How popular is it today, and how essential is it for advancement?
Much more relevant nowadays. In fact, I've written a lot of articles, and one of them was that quite controversial about it shows you how much I believe in STEM. So the title was that Nigeria does not have economic problem. Nigeria has an industrialization problem. And at the foundation of industrialization is STEM. So I used to tell my students that apart from what God created, every other thing you can see in this world were made by man, and it was through STEM. So it's the place to be, and it's quite relevant.
Also, walk us through some of the application. Maybe before we talk about the application, the level of reception. I know you're in the UK, and I know you interact with a lot of people around the world, including Nigeria, where you're from. The level of reception and the level of implementation as well, because sometimes it's a different thing to have that policy direction or the aspiration to do certain things. It's a different kettle of fish altogether in the implementation and its relevance in solving real-life problems.
Okay, so the thing is that every economy grows up to the lead of the innovation ecosystem in that country. So, for instance, in the UK, they have policies and that promote science. In fact, they have chief scientific advisor. So it tells you that science is at the core of the society. So the same thing applies to other economies like China, US, and other nations that are contributing to innovation. So that ecosystem first is what is required. So in the context of Nigeria, again, I've written an article, and it's called Trilogy of Industrialization. So the three key things required are: 1, government; 2, research institutions; and 3, companies. So it is when you synergize these three legs, okay, tripods, that the actual manifestation of the output of science will become more prevalent in the society. So it's quite relevant, and like I said before, that's the way to go.
So, we all just talk about STEM and we mouth, the meaning of the abbreviation: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But really, for young people, for those in tertiary institutions and those aspiring to go into tertiary institutions, what are the skills that they need to acquire to pursue a career in STEM? And if you look critically into the Nigerian research economy as well, what are the opportunities for development in STEM, in health, in education, even in governance?
Thank you so much for that question. It's very, very important. Currently, when you talk about STEM is about solving problems, problem solving. So you look at your environment, you take what is environment, study those materials in your environment, characterize them, codify them, and then look at problems around you that you can design, process those materials to solve those problems. That's what basically science is doing. So when you are studying about the reactions, the materials, so chemistry, the living organism, biology, the modeling, using modeling to configure the environment, physics and mathematics. Now, engineering takes all these fundamental sciences to solve physical problems like cars, pharmaceuticals, a whole lot of things. So I think for me, for young Nigerians, they should be excited because the problems in Nigeria are evidence that we have opportunities in STEM. Artificial intelligence, like the former speaker spoke, the Industry 4.0 means that you can stay in Nigeria and manufacture products. Take, for instance, I teach additive manufacturing. And also, my research at the University of Manchester was on renewable energy. Imagine a situation that we have 4 mega scientific hubs in Nigeria at the 6 geopolitical zones. And you use renewable energy, solar energy, to provide electricity, which doesn't need to be connected to the grid. Then you use additive manufacturing. You don't need a Jokuta steel manufacturing company. You just need the powder, the metal, the polymer powders, and you can print the components from the additive manufacturing systems. So with solar energy providing constant energy and additive manufacturing systems, you can model, design components, and assemble a whole system. So the opportunities are increasing by the day because technology is also evolving. Nigerians should not start from where Britain started from Industry 1.0. Nigeria should even start scaling up to Industry 5.0. So there are so many opportunities. I can tell you that the problems in Nigeria is evidence that there are opportunities in STEM.
So why, I'm sure Nigerians and the authorities and people like you in the science field know all of this. And we have a lot of challenges. That means that provides a lot of opportunity. In your view, why are we not getting the solution that is required if the two dynamics are already available?
The problem is that I wrote a book recently. It's called Domain-Based Systems and Systematic Thinking. The first thing is that we need to think in systems. Thinking in systems means that one thing cannot function alone. Just like your car, you can't use any of the parts alone. Once we understand system thinking, we now begin to see how everything is connected. Take, for instance, the tax bill. Immediately it was announced, I mentioned that I'm going to give the president 30 dojo points if he's able to push it across. I was so excited. I have a banking background, and I know the implication of that tax bill. I've also written an article that it's like sitting on a seesaw. The monetary aspect has been generating activities, but the physical aspect of the economy has been in slumber. So if Nigeria, for me, I've described the new tax bill as the most important bill from independence, and I'm very serious, because science is a serious business. It needs money. To fund our scientific expeditions, we need money. And the tax is one of the sustainable ways to fund development. So I think that the government policies, the research institutions, and the companies, they have to synergize. That is the only way. If the government is functioning very well, and the research institutions are not engaging in cutting-edge research because they don't have money, because they don't have the environment or the ecosystem to engage in such research, or the companies are not taking up the research output from the higher education institutions, it will not work. We will just be like this. But if you systematize everything such that there's this synergy between government, research institutions, and companies, all of a sudden it will just be as if you unlocked everywhere and things to begin to happen distributively. So that's the way it is. It must work in systems.
So in the absence of the requisite funding for research, while we wait for that, when you look at the NUMTs of this world, the IMTs of this world, and all other technology-based institutions, tertiary institutions, are they prepared for the opportunities for development, for industrialization in STEM?
Nigerians are very, very prepared. Even while I'm in UK, we started an organization. We started an organization called Green STEM Educational and Charitable Foundation. I'm also the BOT chairman of Onitsha Education Foundation. Nigerians are ready. What we need is to systematize the environment such that people can plug in. Nigerians thrive everywhere. People ask, why is it that Nigerians thrive whenever they go outside? It's because the system is systematized such that you can plug into the system and it will now amplify your skills. So, and it doesn't need to be a comprehensive overhaul. Just as I said, imagine you have hubs and they have everything they need to start from fundamental research to application. So, and people can go there, access it. It's a public facility. People can go there. If you have an idea, walk into this place. There are people employed to support these young people, move from ideas generation to application. The whole place will start unlocking. Just look at what Nigerians are doing in the movie industry on their own, on their own, because they still have that opportunity to plug to the internet. So we need to repeat what has been done in the movie industry, in the manufacturing and STEM sector. And I can assure you that it will be a wonder to the world. Because the Nigerians, they have the tenacity, they have the intelligence, they have the commitment to explore such opportunities.
Okay, let's backtrack a bit to maybe unmask this mystique around the perception that this is a very complex conversation for the exclusives or just for a few people, to enable our young people graft in as quickly as possible. Because this sounds like the world is moving at a particular speed. If we don't do something now, we're yet again going to be left behind. Where do we start from?
Where we need to start is from curriculum redesign. Okay, we need to redesign our curriculum because it's outdated, it's far, far behind. And I want to recommend that the Minister of Education, because I heard from the previous speaker that they are working on updating the curriculum. They should consult also the diasporans okay, they should have a forum to consult the diasporans so that they can contribute. Because there are many Nigerians doing very, very well, contributing across the globe. So let there be a forum where they can also contribute to shaping the upcoming curriculum. That's the first one. The second one is that we need to understand that STEM is a big business. There are organizations doing very well in STEM, like PTDF. They fund equipments and facilities for STEM. So STEM is a very, very big business and it's very costly. So we must understand that we must have the money to invest in STEM before we can get the output. The infrastructure for science must be there. It's a condition precedent before we talk about the dividends of STEM.
So what's the level of representation you've seen so far? In terms, I know you sit as co-chair of diversity and all of that. How is that coming through in terms of representation?
Yeah, there are many Nigerians in STEM, and it's quite the percentage is not much. The percentage is not much, but we keep encouraging people to kind of explore the opportunities. That's one of the roles I play, to encourage blacks and ethnic minorities to also explore STEM discipline. And at a personal level too, I speak to young ones to explore it, because it gives you skills that you can apply anywhere, not just in the STEM sector. Like I said, when I graduated, I worked in the bank, and the analytical skills, the mathematical modeling skills, the logical thinking skills you learn from doing STEM, it can help you to explore other fields.
Let me just quickly follow up then. I can see the interest, I can see the passion, but when the chips are down, for a lot of you who are pushing for this, are you willing to come back to establish and push this further, or you're thinking of supporting from there?
As I'm speaking with you, we have, I'm advising a body. This body is 22 PhD graduates funded by PTDF across the globe, and they want to form a company that will be domiciled in Nigeria. So this company, remember I said 22 PhD, chemistry, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical, from different STEM background. What they are going to do is to drive innovation from fundamental research to application. So we are contributing, and I can tell you that we need to also see the world as being connected. Like now, I don't need to come to your studio to impact knowledge or to make a contribution. So we need to start creating those systems that can tap from talents of Nigerians across the globe, without necessarily saying they must come to Nigeria or they must stay in a specific location. So if you systematize everything, Nigerians can easily contribute from wherever they are. They can also come into Nigeria, make some contribution, and also go to where they are based. So we need to look at it as a global citizen perspective rather than being localized.
But Mr. Gona, some would disagree with you about, impacting from where you are, because in Nigeria, we need the expertise of people like you for where the development is critical, in the health sector, in the education sector. So how has the Japa syndrome contributed to diminishing the space of experts who would have contributed to transforming the fortunes of the country in STEM?
It has a very serious blow, but we should not look at it from that aspect as well. The same thing I was saying, if you look at it as a flow, if you look at it that Nigeria, they have flowed out. So what we should now be thinking is, how do we create a system for them to flow in? Because if you don't have the environment to function, it means you go into extinction. And a lot of people, they can't withstand that feeling of just dying off without making impact. That's why some people seek expression where the environment is conducive for them. But I always believe, and I push for it, that the problems in Nigeria is evidence of the huge opportunities. It's all about systematizing the ecosystem and it will become so spontaneous that everything will start unlocking. So I want to appeal once again that Nigerians should support the tax bill, because that's one way to generate the revenues that we need to create the prosperity we desire.
All right, Dr. Bunaya. So if you are to itemize 5 priority areas, let me sound like a politician now, because they always have priority areas, an agenda. 5 priority areas that, in your view, is almost like an emergency that we need to apply some of these things you're talking about as quickly as possible so the economy can scale and we can develop at a pace better than we're doing now. What will those 5 areas be?
The first priority is education. We need to rapidly and as quickly as possible redesign the curriculum. The second one is to start thinking in terms of distributed infrastructure. Okay, distributed infrastructure means we don't need to connect the grid from Abakaliki to Sokoto. No. Create distributed energy infrastructure that will be reliable to power the economy, because without energy, you can't power the economy. So another one is building the morale. Okay, supporting the higher education institutions, the research. We need to give voice to the researchers, because they are the ones that make the findings. Another one is that systematizing the link between, there should be a deliberate policy between synergizing what is happening in the research institutions and the companies. Okay, once we do that, I believe that is going to unlock opportunities.
All right, well, thank you so much. Quite brilliant submissions, and we wish you the very best. We hope that you somehow make this happen for us, whether you're in the UK or you're back here in Nigeria, whichever you choose. Dr. Chukwuma Bunaya is a lecturer, manufacturing engineering in the UK, also co-chaired Equity, Diversity and Inclusion, and co-chaired Race, Ethnicity and Cultural Heritage Network, known as RICH. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
That's it for today. Thank you so much for your time and company. Don't forget, Sunrise Daily is up at the top of the hour. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Bye-bye.
Well, if you've been instructed, you would do yourself a world of favor to get a tech skill, to increase your finances. We'll be back again tomorrow with another instructive edition. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Karadoki Kilu. Stay with Channels Television.